Greetings! Pastor Abe here, putting together a little video to help Lenten small group facilitators know how to walk through their small group material and do the small group sessions for Lent. I got my trusty little cheat sheet here, and I want to cover a few things. Hopefully this won't take me too long, and you'll feel better prepared as small group facilitators to facilitate your groups. So I want to talk about the responsibilities you have as small group facilitators. I want to talk about resources available to you over the next 6 weeks to help you do the job right. And then also want to cover the materials, at least generally, what it is that are going to be on the materials that you cover during your time and your sessions together. Okay. So I'll start with the responsibilities, and I want to talk about 4 things. First, as a facilitator, one of your goals is to help create a safe space, a safe place, a safe group for people to share, study scripture, and pray together. And there are a few little things you can do to help with that. First, let your group know that it's confidential, that the things that are shared in your group won't be shared all over town or something like that, that there's a certain level of confidentiality in your group. Also help to create an atmosphere of listening and promoting everyone sharing. So a lot of times in groups like this, there is going to be 1 or maybe 2 people who talk a lot or interrupt other group members. A couple little tricks you can use to help facilitate conversation from everyone. First, you can ask a question and say, I'd like to hear from those who haven't had a chance to share yet. That is kind of a cue that we're going to let them share next. Or you can say, this next question, I want us to go in a circle and all of us answer this question. That's a couple little things you can do to help promote everyone sharing. So you're going to create a safe place. The next thing you want to do is keep time as a facilitator. Now, if you're facilitating a group in the afternoons or evenings, you may have a little more time to play with. But especially if you're doing a group on Sunday mornings, it's important that you start at 10. I'm going to do my best as the preacher not to preach sermons that go too long and kind of gouge our small group time. So we're going to try and make sure you have enough time to get into your groups and start at 10 o'clock as much as possible. Even if your whole group hasn't showed up, try and start at 10 if you can, just to kind of keep that consistency. And then keep track of where you are through the material and try and be done by 10:50 or 10:55. That way, those who either need to go to second service or who may have something else going on can leave when they need to. And if people stick around for a while, or if you're going to stick around for a little while, that's fine. But starting at 10, being done at 10:50 or 10:55 would be a nice way to keep time as a facilitator. If you're facilitating in the afternoons or evenings, starting on time is still important. Ending on time is still important, but you may have a little more time to play with in your group. So create a safe space, keep the time, and then walk through the material. As the facilitator, you're the one who will move the group from the opening questions to the reading of scripture to the questions to a time of prayer, and you'll be the one kind of moving the group from section to section in the material. So you'll want to make sure you're keeping time on that as well, and we'll talk about the material in a little more detail in just a minute. The last thing that's expected of you is some form of communication to your group. So if for some reason your group were to change locations, or if you are going to have someone else lead the group the next week because maybe you won't be there, let the group know. Obviously, when you're together as a group, that's a good time to do that. But we're also going to make sure you have everyone's email address or some sort of contact information so you can be communicating with your group throughout the week. It'd be a great idea as a follow-up on Monday or Tuesday to touch base with your group. Hey, great session. Next week, remember, we're meeting at this time and we'll be covering this material. Hope to see you there, something like that. So those are the responsibilities of a small group facilitator: creating a safe space, keeping the time, walking through the material, and then communicating with your group members. Now I want to talk about resources that you have available to you in the coming weeks as you facilitate and run your small groups. First, I want to say this Sunday, March 5th, is the first Sunday that we will have groups. And for those of you meeting with your groups on Sunday morning, I want you to know that we will post all the meeting times and all the meeting places. We will also have a staff person at the welcome table and a staff person at the welcome table downstairs as well. So if someone has trouble finding their room, we will have staff people help them find where to go. We will also help resource you by giving you all the names and contact information of your group members, and that will be done in the form of an email. So make sure you have that information. We also want to be a resource to you, those of you meeting at the church. If your room is too cold, or you didn't have enough chairs, or you want Bibles in your room or something like that, let me know or let April know in the business office, and we will make sure to give you what you need to run your small groups. Each week in the business office, we will have a stack of the materials for that week's small group. And so you can show up to church, walk into the business office, pick up however many pieces of paper you need for each member of your group, and that can help facilitate your group as well. One last thing I want to say about a resource or resources available to you is in a small group setting like this, some things may come up. The Spirit of God may move in someone's heart, and it may become clear to you that some pastoral follow-up would be a good idea for a group member in your group. If so, I want you to know that myself and Pastor Susan are available if something comes up, and if one of your group members are open to it, to meet with us and maybe take the conversation in another direction or something like that, let me know. Let Susan know. We'd be happy to help in that way. So those are some of the resources available to you. The last thing I want to talk about are the materials themselves. The materials will be emailed to you. Perhaps they're in this email with this video, but there are 6 weeks that groups will meet, so you will have 6 different session materials. Each session is broken into 4 main categories. First, each week there will be a list of opening questions or connecting type questions. This is just a great way for a group to kind of break the ice a little bit. You'll notice that for the first week, the questions are, what is your name? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And what do you hope to experience in this group? So that's the first section, and each week it's a great way to get started. The next section after that will be actual scripture to read. Now, it would be great if everyone in your group has a Bible, either on their personal device or maybe an actual hard copy of a Bible. If your group members would like a Bible, we'd love to outfit your room with those, or even give someone a Bible if they don't have one. We will also have scripture on the materials themselves as well, so people can use that to help with the facilitation of reading the scriptures together. So that's the second section. Each week is our Bible verses to be read. The third section each week will be a list of questions that will bend your group back to the sermon, maybe something that was shared there, something in the Bible passage that was read, or to reflect on some way that God is working in the lives of those in your group today. So questions will probably take up a good chunk of your time together, discussion questions to discuss the scriptures and to study them together. The final section each week will be a prayer section, which is not meant to kind of force you to pray for this or pray for that, but to give you some suggestions on things you could pray for together as a group. The hope is that each week your group does three things. That the group connects with one another in some way, that people are getting to know each other better or getting to know new people at Emmaus. We hope that each week Scripture is studied, that the Bible is read and grappled with and studied together, and then finally that groups are praying together, that there is a time each week for us as a church body to lift one another's burdens and requests up to a God who cares about us and wants us to pray for each other. So there you have it. Some responsibilities I covered, some resources available to you, and then the materials themselves. And as always, if you have any questions at all, or if you have recommendations even for what we can do in the future, please let me know. We believe that these Lenten small groups are very important and a great way for us to get more connected and do ministry together in our church. And I just want to say, to finish this up, thank you again for doing this. Your time and your effort, God will use it. I believe that. God will use it in the lives of those in your group. So thank you. And blessings upon you as you go forward and help facilitate these groups.